What if I told you the most secretive place in America isn't hiding aliens? It's hiding something much worse. You've heard of Area 51. Desert, fences, warning signs, use of deadly force authorized. Sounds dramatic, almost theatrical, like something designed to scare people away. And for years, that's exactly what it was. A classified military base, testing experimental aircraft, spy planes, advanced technology. That's the official story. And honestly, it makes sense. During the Cold War, the U.S. needed places to test cutting-edge weapons in total secrecy. So they built Area 51, hidden deep in the Nevada desert. Out of sight, out of mind. Case closed. Right. But then, people started noticing things. Strange lights in the sky. Objects moving in ways that didn't make sense. No sound. No trails. Just gone. Pilots reported them. Civilians reported them. Even military personnel started asking questions. At first, the government denied everything. Area 51 didn't even officially exist. Think about that. An entire base. Just not real. Until it was. In 2013, the CIA finally admitted it existed. But only as a testing site. Nothing more. Nothing unusual. Nothing extraterrestrial. But here's the problem. The stories didn't stop. If anything, they got worse. Because people who worked there started talking. Quietly at first. Whispers. Interviews. Claims that didn't match the official narrative. One man said he worked on reverse engineering. Non-human technology. Another claimed there were crafts. Not built on Earth. Not by humans. Now, you might be thinking, okay, conspiracy theories. People lie. People exaggerate. And you're right. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Some of these individuals passed polygraph tests. Some had military backgrounds, security clearances, access. These weren't random internet stories. These were people who had been inside. Now imagine this. You sign a contract. You work at one of the most secretive places on Earth. You see things you can't explain. And you're told never to speak about it. Ever. What would you do? Stay silent? Or risk everything to tell the truth? Because some of them did talk. And what they described doesn't sound like advanced aircraft. It sounds like something else entirely. Technology that doesn't follow known physics. Materials that can't be identified. Objects that seem to defy gravity itself. Now here's where things take a turn. Because maybe, just maybe, it's not aliens. Maybe that's the distraction. Maybe that's the story they want you to believe. Because if you're focused on extraterrestrials, you're not asking the real question. What is actually being hidden there? And why is it so important that it stays hidden? Now let's go deeper. There are reports of underground levels. Not just a base, but a complex. Miles beneath the desert. Entire facilities. Built out of sight. Out of reach. Why build underground? What needs to be hidden that badly? Some say it's weapons. Others say it's research. But then there are those who claim it's something else. Something darker. Experiments. Not just on technology, but on consciousness. On perception. On reality itself. Now take a second. Because this is where it gets uncomfortable. What if Area 51 isn't just testing aircraft, but testing us? Think about it. For decades, Area 51 has been surrounded by mystery. Rumors. Conspiracies. Stories that sound too wild to be true. And yet, the government keeps feeding it. Leaks. Hints. Half-truths. Why? Why allow the speculation? Why not shut it down completely? Unless the confusion is the point. Because when people argue about aliens, they're distracted, they're divided, and they're not looking at what's actually happening. Now here's a theory most people don't talk about. What if Area 51 isn't just hiding something, but running something? A program. A long-term project. Something that's been going on for decades. Maybe longer. And it's not about what's in the sky. It's about what's in your mind. There are documents, declassified ones, that prove. The government has experimented with human perception before. Mind control. Psychological manipulation. Behavioral experiments. All real. All documented. So what if that didn't stop? What if it just went deeper? More advanced. More hidden. Now imagine technology, capable of influencing what you see, what you remember, what you believe is real. Not science fiction. Just classified. And where would you test something like that? Somewhere isolated. Controlled. Hidden. Somewhere like Area 51. Now let's be fair. There's no hard proof of this. No official confirmation. Skeptics will say it's just paranoia. Just stories. And they have a point. But here's the twist. Even the government has admitted. There are things they can't explain. Unidentified objects. Unknown technology. Encounters that don't make sense. So if they don't understand everything, what else is happening that we don't know about? Now here's the part that should make you think. If something is being hidden, it's not because it's meaningless. It's because it's important, dangerous, or powerful. And if it's powerful enough, it could change everything. Technology, society, reality as we know it. So the question isn't just, what is Area 51 hiding? The real question is, what happens if we find out? Because some truths aren't just kept secret to protect them. They're kept secret to protect you. Or maybe to protect something else entirely. So let me ask you this. Do you think Area 51 is just a military base? Or is it something much bigger? Something we're not supposed to understand? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more videos that uncover hidden truths, subscribe. Because next time, we might get even closer to what they don't want you to see. Because the deeper you go into this story, the less it feels like a conspiracy, and the more it feels like something carefully controlled. Let's rewind for a second. Back to the desert. Middle of nowhere. Miles of nothing. No cities. No cameras. No witnesses. Just silence. That's not random. That's intentional. Area 51 wasn't placed there by accident. It was placed there because whatever happens inside can't be seen, and more importantly, can't be verified. Now think about how information works today. Everything leaks. Everything gets exposed. Phones, satellites, drones. Nothing stays hidden forever. And yet, this place has remained a mystery for decades. Not partially, completely. Which raises a question. What level of control does it take to keep something like that hidden for so long? Now here's where things get strange. Because there have been attempts to get closer. People who tried to sneak near the perimeter. Researchers, journalists, even former employees. And almost every time, the same pattern happens. They get warned, watched, stopped, sometimes followed, sometimes silenced. Not always in dramatic ways. Sometimes it's subtle. Reputations damaged. Stories discredited. Careers gone. And suddenly, whatever they were trying to reveal disappears with them. Now let's pause. Because I know what you're thinking. This sounds exaggerated. And maybe it is. But here's the part that's not. The military presence around Area 51 isn't normal. Unmarked vehicles. Surveillance systems. Patrols that appear out of nowhere. And guards who don't wear standard uniforms. Why that level of secrecy? For something that's supposedly just testing aircraft? Now let's go deeper. There's a road near Area 51. People call it the extraterrestrial highway. Sounds like a joke, right? But along that road, there have been reports. Consistent ones. Strange encounters. Vehicles that don't show up on radar. Lights that follow cars, then vanish. And people who claim they were watched. Not just from a distance, but closely, like they were being studied. Now here's something that doesn't get enough attention. Time distortion. Some witnesses say they drove for minutes, but hours had passed. Others claim they lost entire chunks of time. No memory. No explanation. Just gone. Now, yes, fatigue can do that. Long drives. Empty roads. Your brain drifts. You lose track. But here's the problem. These reports aren't isolated. They follow the same pattern. Same location. Same experience. Over and over again. Now ask yourself, what kind of technology could affect time perception like that? And why would it be used there? Now let's take it one step further. There are claims of aircraft being tested at Area 51 that don't just fly differently. They behave differently. Instant acceleration. No visible propulsion. Silent movement. Not breaking the sound barrier, but bypassing it entirely. If that's true, then this isn't just advanced technology. It's a completely different understanding of physics. And if someone has that kind of power, why keep it hidden? Why not use it? Unless it's not ready. Or worse, it's not fully understood. Now here's where things shift again. Because some insiders have hinted that what's happening at Area 51 isn't just about discovery. It's about control. Understanding new technology is one thing. Controlling it is another. And if that technology can manipulate space, time, or perception, then whoever controls it controls reality itself. Now take a second. Let that sink in. Because that's not just military power. That's something else entirely. Now here's the part that makes people uncomfortable. What if Area 51 isn't just hiding technology, but testing its effects on the world? Not in isolation, but out here, in real life. Subtle changes, small experiments, things that most people would never notice, unless something goes wrong, unless someone sees something they weren't supposed to see, and then suddenly, they're dismissed, labeled, ignored. Now let's bring the skeptic back in, because this matters. There's no concrete proof of time manipulation, no verified evidence of reality control, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. That's true. But here's the twist. The absence of evidence is exactly what you'd expect if something is being perfectly hidden, if every leak is controlled, if every witness is discredited, if every trace is erased. Then of course there's no proof. That's the point. Now here's something even stranger. There are people who believe Area 51 isn't the only site, that it's just one piece, one location in a network, multiple facilities, all connected, all working on different parts of the same project, some focusing on technology, others on biology, others on something we don't even have words for yet. And Area 51, just the one we know about, the one they allow us to talk about, because it keeps us focused there, while everything else stays hidden. Now think about that. What if the biggest secret isn't inside Area 51, but everywhere else we're not looking? Now here's the final thought, and it might be the most unsettling of all. What if the truth about Area 51 isn't being hidden to protect the technology, but to protect us from understanding what it means? Because once you realize that something like this could exist, that reality itself could be influenced, controlled, edited. You can't go back. You can't unsee it. And suddenly, the world doesn't feel as stable as it used to. So now I'll ask you one last question. Not as a theory, not as entertainment, but as something to really think about. If Area 51 is hiding something powerful enough, To change reality itself. Would you want to know the truth? Or is it better that it stays hidden? Let me know in the comments. And if you're ready to question everything you thought was real, hit subscribe. Because next time, we're going even deeper into the secrets they don't want you to find. Because there's one more possibility, and almost nobody talks about it. What if Area 51 isn't hiding something from us, but hiding us from something else? Think about that. All this secrecy, all this protection, all this control. What if it's not just to keep people out, but to keep something in? Or worse, to keep something from noticing us at all? Now imagine this. Somewhere inside that base, there's technology, or information, that connects to something beyond our understanding. Not just advanced, not just foreign, but completely outside what we consider reality. And once you interact with it, you can't undo it. You can't unlearn it. You can't go back to seeing the world the same way. Maybe that's why it's hidden. Not because it's dangerous physically, but because it's dangerous to know. Because knowledge like that changes everything. Now here's the unsettling part. What if some people have seen it? What if some of those insiders weren't lying, but couldn't fully explain what they experienced? Not because they didn't want to, but because human language isn't enough. Now suddenly, their stories don't sound crazy. They sound incomplete, like trying to describe a color that doesn't exist. And maybe that's the real reason nothing makes sense. Because whatever is hidden there was never meant for us to understand. So now you're left with this. A place, a secret, and a question that won't go away. Is Area 51 hiding technology, or a truth that could break reality as we know it? And if that truth ever came out, would we be ready for it? Or would it change everything in ways we can't even imagine? And maybe we've already seen the consequences. Small ones, subtle ones, things we brushed off, strange sightings, unexplained moments. That feeling, something isn't quite right. What if those aren't coincidences? What if they're side effects, leaks, tiny cracks, from something happening behind the scenes? Now imagine this. A mistake. Just one. Something slips out of containment. Not physically, but informationally. A signal, an influence, a ripple, and it spreads, quietly, unnoticed, until people start asking questions, until things stop adding up, and then it gets covered, explained away, forgotten, but not completely, because some people remember, some people notice. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe that's why you're still watching, because deep down, something about all of this feels just a little too real. And once you feel that, you can't ignore it anymore.